Today we're looking at my first photos and my initial thoughts on the Canon EOS M5. I actually have two M50s that I've been using a lot for photos and videos, but I wanted something with more buttons, more control, and really the M5 is it in this lineup in the EFM system. It is an older camera, there are some differences with the M50, but so far so good. Gonna look at the photos and all that. Let's get started. Shutter, of course, is in the same spot as the M50 for the most part, as far as I can tell. And that works nicely. I'm used to pressing this button here for the video recording, but they moved it on the M50. On the M5 it's back here, so that's a little different. It's not something you can easily press, but this is more photography geared than the M50, so we are going back in time with the M5 a little bit. It has the Digic 7 processors, so it's not as advanced as the 8. With the autofocus area, it is larger even at the small setting than the M50. That's something to consider with this camera. Autofocus won't be quite as good, but it is still dual pixel autofocus. While I was out there using it in the field, just trying out for the first time, it seemed pretty decent. I do think there is a difference, but it's not a huge amount. Definitely in time I'm going to learn more about it and get a better feel for it. It is definitely similar to the M100, and the AF area, the smallest AF area, is not the smallest compared to the M50. It's a little bigger, and the interface has that kind of animation to it that the M100 has, but the M50 does not have. The biggest benefit for me on the M5 are all of the buttons, all the controls that are direct. You just change them and that's it. The funny thing with entry-level cameras is that sometimes the manufacturers remove features that make easier modes like aperture priority better. But with Canon especially, they remove the minimum shutter speed, so I haven't been using aperture priority. With the M5, it works really nicely because you have those direct controls for adjusting aperture, adjusting shutter speed, and ISO. Now with the ISO, it's a little quirky on here, but I need to figure out if I can adjust things slightly better with the controls so I get those three direct settings. But it definitely has enough buttons and dials to make it work. With the custom setting save modes, I did notice you can't push video settings into one of those, which is kind of inconvenient for me, but I really don't expect to use this specific camera for a lot of video stuff. It has the flip down screen to face the lens. That's a little weird and quirky. So actually this back screen is a little better for photography in some situations. If you're doing it like this, that works nicely. But something like this, not so much, because with the M50 you can pop it up to the side. This downward thing, I can see that working nicely. Not too bad. I'm going to definitely use this more for photo stuff. It'll be in the videos as the main camera to take photos because it has that nice direct control on it. One of the biggest quirks for me already is the batteries. This uses the LPE 17 battery, and the M50 uses LPE 12. Cameracraft actually helped me out with this. I got a second LPE 17 official battery, which is very nice to have thanks to them, and also just have to balance that. Of course, with photos I won't need batteries nearly as much with this camera than the video one. Having two batteries I think is probably sufficient. Seems decent so far. Using the M5 for the first photo outing, it worked pretty nicely. I didn't have anything set up well, but there is a little bit of transition between the M5 and the M50, of course, in the settings and the way things work. One thing I was super curious about was the build quality of the M5 versus the M50. The plastics are different. I think the plastics on the M5 are pretty much exactly the same as the lenses with the 32mm and 22mm. It's that gray plastic. It looks exactly the same color-wise, and just the feel of it is very, very similar. The actual structure of the M5 and the M50 feel very similar, even if the plastics are different on the exterior. With the grip area, it does creak a little bit. This is a used M5, but even so, one of my M50s creaks a little bit down there too, so it's probably just some slight variations with the plastics, the interior pieces and all that. It is heavier, definitely, so there must be some extra metal or something in there. And probably the oddest thing is this back screen. So I didn't get into the EFM system between the original that I had and the M50, so it is interesting to see some of the middle stuff like this M5 that is different. Let's take a look at all the photos. I love the grasses at this low angle. You can see with a different look, it actually is quite a bit less interesting in my opinion. So definitely that lower angle, getting it together, shooting through the grasses, whatever you want to call them, I think that works out nicely. I don't know if this is some type of wild wheat or whatever it is, but beautiful light tan color. Trying to find a good angle for this, good perspective, but I just couldn't find anything that really fits the feel of it when I was looking at it. Did definitely try. So you don't need a perfect flower to take a photo of. If it has some interest to it, in this case, I really like how it looked. Definitely wanted to take a photo of it. Of course, if you've seen any of my recent videos, I'm super enthusiastic about bees. I like them. Definitely a good spot for them in this area. Butterflies are also ones I really love taking photos of. I didn't have a lens that worked out well with the bees or these butterflies, but definitely tried. This photo turned out super interesting. The butterfly was doing some type of flip maneuver. Here we've got the layers of interest. I love doing that style of photography. A different butterfly this time. I really tried to get some photos of that one as well. Now with the focus on the M5, it was a little challenging, but I think I got one or two out of it. Here we've got some beautiful orange flowers. One other thing that I should mention with the M5 is it uses the CR2 RAW format, which is more compatible with the AC/DC software that I use. It works perfectly, and that's super convenient for me because that does not currently support CR3, the version that I have at least. Those are my first impressions on the Canon EOS M5 with that first outing. So far so good, but definitely going to use this a lot more, get more used to it and see how it goes. Definitely a step up from what I was using as my third camera, which was the M100. I did consign that, so don't have that anymore, but definitely an improvement with photographer stuff on this camera. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider subscribing. That helps me out a lot. Likes and shares help out a lot as well. Thanks again. Scott Photography Banzai.